My guest today on Paris Direct is the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Albania, who's joining me, Igli Hassani. Thank you so much for coming here with us today.
Thank you so much.
So you are in Paris for a preparatory meeting ahead of the next European Political Community meeting that's being held in Albania in May, and that, of course, is being held before the next NATO summit in June. We were just talking about Ukraine a moment ago. Obviously, the situation there is going to be a key focus at both of those meetings. First of all, what kind of effect has the war in Ukraine had on the Balkan countries in general?
It's a war of aggression against a sovereign country. It's a war of aggression against a democratic country. It's a war of aggression against a country that is willing to be, as soon as possible, a member of the European Union. And it's exactly what we in the Western Balkans are thinking. We are also candidate countries towards the European Union. We see many of these difficulties, challenges, threats that Ukraine has been facing before the war, during the war, and in these days that are, in a way or another, being mirrored in our region. We're talking about a gray zone in the heart of Europe that is comprised by 6 sovereign countries that can easily be targeted by malign influence that is coming specifically from the Russian Federation. And it is because of this that we have tried not only to continue with and accelerate our integration process towards the European Union, but also support to the maximum the fight of the Ukrainian people for their just path towards becoming also part of our European family as soon as possible.
Indeed. And earlier this year, Albania signed a security agreement with Ukraine. You also pledged this mutual support for each other's candidacies towards the European Union. Do you truly believe Albania and Ukraine will one day be part of the EU?
I strongly believe, and I am convinced that we will be soon members of the European Union. In the case of Albania, there is a clear path. We have opened the chapters of negotiations, and we have a clear understanding of our technical arrangements, and the integration process is clear that up until 2027, with the support of the EU Commission, we will close all the chapters, and then we will continue with the political part of this negotiation, with the ratification processes in all the 27 parliaments of the EU member states. We hope the same for Ukraine. We hope the same acceleration process also for Ukraine, and we hope to have a fully integrated Ukraine, and not only Ukraine, but also all the other countries that are willing to join the Union, being part of the Union as soon as possible. The European Union is the only family that is expanding in the current days without the use of force, but by the free will of the people that are willing to be members of the European family. Therefore, all of us have to do our bits and pieces of the big puzzle to make these things happen.
There's another big story out of Albania that I want to ask you about. Albania has now become one of the first countries to block access to TikTok throughout the country. That ban is set to start shortly in a few weeks, I believe, and for a year. Why? Why is Albania banning TikTok?
Because there was a surge of violence. Because there was a moment when violence through TikTok targeted our children, targeted our families. And because of this, the government had a long discussion with hundreds of thousands of people, families, teachers that were deeply involved into this. And we decided to put a ban for 1 year on the use of TikTok until there are better filters, better understanding from all these entities that are being used in our territory. The words murder, rape, kill, blame, blow, fire were not filtered by TikTok. Therefore, we really hope that these filters will be in place, and we will be able to bring a future to our children without crimes.
And I should just mention that over the weekend, there were hundreds of people who did indeed protest that move from the government, calling it censorship. Just briefly to move on, we don't have a lot of time. I just want to focus quickly on one other issue that we have been focusing a lot. Is this agreement between Albania and Italy, Italy's attempt to house migrants in Albania, of course, a non-EU member state. Rome would then process their asylum applications. Now, there have been 2 failed attempts so far that have been overruled by Italian courts. I mean, this was the first deal struck by an EU nation to divert migrants like this to a non-EU nation. I mean, do you still think this plan is a good one?
This plan is a very good one. It shows the very good cooperation we have with Italy. It will continue to be part of our excellent relations that we have with our neighbors, and we'll continue to support all efforts that the Italian government are trying to put in place in order to tackle one of the most important issues that they have, migration. And we'll be very happy to be part of the discussions that the European Union and others will put into this. Every experience has its own alternatives, but more than happy to be part of discussing it.
All right, Egli Hassani, you're the Foreign Affairs Minister from Albania. Thank you very much for coming on to France 24. Thank you.
Thank you.